Boom, 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 boom. Now tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to run. When judgment comes for you. When judgment comes for you. Tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to hide. When judgment comes for you. 'Cause it's gonna come for you.
Nigga, this for water, easy, see something Charlie. Little boo, but God's got him. And I'm gonna miss everybody out of rolling flows like I ain't looked at a while. Like, I'm playing for dust and they play too deep for beachside. Little legs I got too deep. Tell me your feature deceased, would it please? Marry me by my grand, new way. You can't go follow
God bless you, working on a plan to heaven.
Backbone Wrestling Network, welcome back to the CrosUp, your weekly look back at the week that was in professional wrestling. This week I'll be running through the results and happenings from Raw on January the 19th to Collision on January the 24th, as well as Saturday night's main event. We're going to go to Raw first. We open with Gunther coming out. Obviously, the fans still booing him pretty hard. They chant at him that he tapped out, obviously talking about last week as well as at WrestleMania last year. Gunther says AJ Styles made a mistake last week because he forgot who he was facing. He talks about all his accomplishment. He says he is officially announcing his spot in the Royal Rumble match. AJ Styles then comes out and says he wants a rematch at the Royal Rumble. Gunther doesn't want to wrestle twice that night, so it's definitely a no. But then as he starts to walk away, Styles calls him a little bitch because he tapped out. But that even isn't enough for a yes. Gunther goes to leave again. And then he says, hang on, as there's one way that he will do it. He eventually says that he will do it if AJ puts his career on the line. Gunther tells AJ he has till the end of the night to make his decision. So they kind of leave it as a cliffhanger, even though AJ at this point, I don't think is going to turn anything down. But we'll see if he decides to do it or not. We then get Maxine Dupree. She's in the back getting ready for her Intercontinental Championship match. She runs into her kind of mentor, Natalia. She says she'll be out there for her tonight when she faces Becky. We get to that match next, and Becky actually defeats Maxine when Natalia, of course, turns on her. She had Becky pinned, and Natalia grabs Becky's foot and put it on the rope, so that broke up the pinfall, obviously. So Maxine is very, she's obviously very upset when this happens, gets kind of distracted, and Becky hits the manhandle slam and retains the Intercontinental Championship. And then after the match, Natalia attacks Maxine, beats her down, including locking in a sharpshooter to kind of end the segment. So we then go to a recap package of Adam Pearce suspending Braun Breaker last week, but also putting his hands on him, which Paul Heyman points out, and may be an issue for Pearce going forward. Adam Pearce then asks AJ Styles what he's doing about Gunther, and Styles says he's going to call his wife and have a conversation before he makes a decision. Styles walks away, and then Paul Heyman comes in to ask how Pearce's week went. Pearce said it was good, and Heyman is surprised, but Pearce says that they're in Belfast. And Heyman kind of complains and asks why we couldn't find an arena in London. Pearce then asks Heyman what he wants. Heyman says he wants a lot. He said, and then they kind of get into an argument, and a six-man tag is made for the Vision later tonight. But Adam Pearce also says he will be ringside to make sure they have no shenanigans going in their favor. And then get a video that's hyping up CM Punk versus Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight title later tonight. We get a little bit video package for that. Raquel Rodriguez then says that Stephanie Vaquer is still out of action, but she's ready to win the Women's World title when she gets the chance. Liv Morgan says this is going to be the Judgment Day's year, and they will have all of the gold. We then get Jey Uso. He comes out to the crowd alone because I'm fairly positive that Jimmy Uso can't make these international trips. But he announces that he will be in the Royal Rumble match. We then go back to the back, and New Day and Grayson Waller want the World Tag Team titles back. Adam Pearce agrees, but he also says that they have to win a fatal four-way next week, and then the New Day and Grayson are obviously pissed about this idea. We then get Penta, Dragon Lee, and Rey Mysterio. They defeat the Vision, represented by Logan Paul, Bronson Reed, and Austin Theory. When Adam Pierce stops Theory from using the brass knuckles. Ray obtains them while the ref is distracted, and he uses them to knock Theory out. And then he kind of just knocks him loopy, and then Penta hits a Mexican Destroyer on Theory to get the win. And then after the matches, the Luchadors celebrate as Heyman has his phone out, seemingly calling for Adam Pierce's demise. We then go to CM Punk. He's getting interviewed by Jackie Redmond. She basically asks what his plans are for tonight, and his plan to beat Finn Balor is be who he is, and that is the best in the world. We then cut back to the back, and Paul Heyman is yelling at Adam Pierce and suggests that he will be fired. He suggests that Pierce answer a phone call, which Pierce does, though we obviously don't hear who's on the other end of the call. We then get Rhea Ripley and Io Sky out to the ring to cut a promo. They're ready for their title defense at Saturday night's main event against Liv and Roxanne. But they also announced that they are both in the Royal Rumble match. we then get Liv and Roxanne coming out to kind of interrupt the promo, with Liv saying that Rhea Ripley will turn on Io as she does everyone. Roxanne says the two of them and Raquel Rodriguez are going into the Rumble as well, which has Rhea laughing at that notion because she can take them all out. We then get Raquel coming out, and the brawl is on. Obviously, the numbers kind of stack up. Perez even takes out Io's leg, and then Oblivion gets hit on Rhea and leaves her laying. So the Judgment Day girls end up on top. We then get Lyra Valkyria. She talks to Bayley, saying it's hard to be positive when she has let her best friend down. Bayley can't believe that idea because Valkyria can't let her down. Now, one of them is going to win the Royal Rumble, and then they get a very hard and aggressive hug somewhere in there. So kind of just more of Bayley kind of showing that she has kind of a split personality. She can be kind of depressed in one moment and super hyped the next. So just kind of continuing that going forward. We then get El Grande Americano defeating Javon Evans, but it is due to via ref stoppage. They kind of thought that Evans got knocked pretty loopy, thought he had a pretty serious concussion. I want to say I saw reports come out that ultimately it was not as serious as previously thought, but obviously in this day and age, they're going to be a little bit more cautious with that kind of stuff. So kind of disappointing to see the match get cut off at the legs, but good to hear that Javon is mostly okay. We'll see if he's good to go by the Rumble. I assume they'll kind of hold off on him till then. Again, just to be cautious. But anything I've heard said he was all right after the match, so it's nothing serious. Maybe a concussion, but like I said, all reports I saw said he was fine. I think at Finn Balor, he cuts a promo, said he's ready to win the world title tonight, said he's ready to get the best of CM Punk, and he's going to give him the best of himself. We get our weekly Obafemi hype video. We go to Adam Pierce. He talks to the Vision, saying that he won't be lifting Braun Breaker's suspension, but he wants Breaker here next week to have a face-to-face with him. Heyman says Pierce better be on his best behavior next week when this goes down. The Vision then leave, and AJ Styles comes in and says he is in for the match with Gunther. So it is official for the Royal Rumble, and AJ Styles' career will be on the line. We then get the Kabuki Warriors. They aren't happy. Asuka blames Kairi for all their recent losses. Kairi says she'll help Asuka win the Royal Rumble, and this has Asuka kind of cools her down. She seemed pretty angry and pissed before that. So the fact that Kairi said she would help Asuka win the Rumble made her kind of calm down just a little bit. And then we go to our main event. We have CM Punk defeating Finn Balor via pinfall following the GTS. After the match, respect is kind of shown, and kind of pretty anti Finn over the last few years. Obviously, he's been with the Judgment Day, but seems to be pretty face-like reaction to a loss here. But it was a good match. Definitely saw some of the Finn of old. He didn't get too many opportunities to be in these singles matches, as he's been a tag guy for most of the last couple of years. But good to see him kind of get a big match and, come pretty close at certain points to being World Heavyweight Champion in this match. But obviously, Punk's going to probably be the champion heading into WrestleMania season. So we'll see where he goes from here. But that match was pretty good. I would end up going with the 6-man tag between the Luchadors and the Vision. I just thought it was a little stronger, a little more action packed. So that's what I would go with for best match on Raw. We go to NXT from here. We open with a recap of what happened last week. Ava talks to security when we get to the arena, telling them to watch out for Tony D'Angelo, as he's been obviously an issue over the last few weeks. So security is on high alert, and obviously they have more than they probably usually have. We then get Ethan Page defeating Elio LaFleur in his debut match via pinfall with a power bomb, and then he uses a handful of tights to get the pinfall after that. After the match, Ricky Saints comes out, kind of hypes up Ethan Page, talks about how they kind of have the same goal in making NXT in their image, basically. And then he goes to join the commentary team for our next match. We then look at Keanu Carver. He obviously had a big brawl, or he kind of came out as the star of the big brawl last week. We then go back to a moment on LFG, which I don't remember happening on LFG, but apparently him and Booker T really got into it on one of the episodes of LFG in one of the 2 seasons. And then they kind of shoot back to Booker at the commentary table, and he doesn't have much to say about the whole situation. So we'll see if they continue to kind of pick at that, or if that's going to be a storyline going forward. But they randomly shot back to that. They'll kind of talk about Keanu throughout the night, so we'll see what happens with him. We then get Shiloh Hill defeating Josh Briggs via pinfall with the toss-up neckbreaker. This qualifies Shiloh for the NXT title ladder match on February 3rd. After the match, Tony D'Angelo comes in to lay them both out before looking at Ricky, then ultimately leaving. Zarya and Sol Ruka are still upset over Zarya losing at Genesis. Zarya says her shoulder is banged up, and as much as Sol will probably want to, if they lose tonight, she does not want to be blamed if they take the loss in their big triple threat tag match tonight. We then get the Vanity Project, represented by Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes. Swipe Right, obviously, is their tag team name. And they defeat Chase U of Uriah Connors and Kel Dixon when Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes hit a double stomp reverse DDT combo to get the pinfall. We then go to Ava. She is calling the cops on Tony D'Angelo. Lola Vice comes in and says she wants a title shot, as does Thea Hale, who also pops in. Ava makes a triple threat for February 3rd between them and Izzy Dame, which makes them both happy because they both get exactly what they wanted. We then go to another Keanu Carver segment. He had a sit-down interview where he says he's here because he has to be and doesn't want to answer any dumb questions. They ask him about some previous disciplinary issues that he's had, and obviously he considers and deems that a dumb question, so he walks away. We then get Jada Parker. She comes out to cut a promo. She gets a huge ovation when she comes out. Super over. Seems to be probably the next big star on the women's division for them. Obviously, I've thought that for a while, but clearly by this reaction and her kind of coming back, that they need to get behind her, obviously. She knows things have been changing here, but she certainly hasn't changed whatsoever. There are some people who deserve flowers, like Kendall Gray and Lola Vice, but she didn't return in a hurry because she wanted to obviously get as healthy as she could so she can prove herself as the best in the division. She is here because she is the standard that refuses to bend, and everyone has opinions about her. There's always someone telling her how to do something better, and she knows she is making people feel pressure. She deserves the attention she gets, but she isn't going to be put in a box. She isn't dimming her lights because, and obviously the lights go out. We then have Blake Monroe popping up on the balcony, which seems to be her favorite place to cut a promo. She says Parker made a grave mistake last week attacking her, and Parker says she is standing right here. So if Blake wants some, come get some. So obviously, and no, nothing happens from there, but obviously I think we'll see a Blake Monroe, Jada Parker match that'll probably get some good time and be a main event type match in the next few weeks. Probably on that February 3rd. Episode that they seem to be building. Pretty good card for. We then get Miles Bourne with Ava when Elio LaFleur comes in. He thanks Ava for the opportunity, and Ava says it was a tough loss. Bourne welcomes Elio to NXT when Ricky Saints comes in, with Bourne saying he'll be in the ladder match Ethan Page then pops up to say that Bourne is the one who always loses and says he has a choice to make about his future, and kind of leaves it open-ended there. Obviously, I think they're probably teasing some kind of alliance between Page and Bourne, or that they're going to be maybe each other's stand and deliver opponents or something like that. But obviously, they continue to kind of put Page and Bourne in the same kind of segments. So we will see what their future together is, if it's together or separate. Obviously, I would probably go separate. Miles could be the next North American champion, but we will see where they go. We then get Sean Legacy defeating Eli Knight via pinfall when he hits Shambles. This qualifies Legacy for the NXT title ladder match. Ricky Saints had gotten back on commentary, says he's impressed, and Legacy shows some respect. And then obviously Tony D'Angelo comes out and takes them both out. Legacy gets chokeslammed through the announce table, and then we eventually get the cops showing up, and they handcuff Tony D'Angelo and take him away. We then get Izzy Dame, calls our title win the reason the culling was started, so they could all end up with gold. The rest of the team claims that they want gold back, and they want the NXT tag team titles, and says they will be starting their ascent to that by going after OTM. We then get Tony D'Angelo. He's put in the cop car. They ask him for comment, but he obviously has nothing to say. The car leaves, and then OTM pops up and says they kind of ignore the Cullings challenge, I guess, and say they want Dark State next week for the tag team championships. We then get the Vanity Project. They're happy to be here, with Jackson Drake being told next week he has a qualifying match for the ladder match next week, and it is with Joe Hendry. So, of course, when his name is said, he appears. And Hendry kind of just trash talks the Vanity Project and says Jackson Drake will obviously get his best next week. We then get Dark State. They also don't really answer the challenge, but they also say they're ready for anyone who's coming for them, and will take anyone who comes for them out. We then have Zaruka defeating Ren Sinclair and Kendall Gray, as well as Fatal Influence, represented by Laney Reed and Fallon Henley, when Soul hits a double Soul Snatcher on Reed and Henley, and then Zarya hits the F5 on Henley to get the win. And this makes them the number one contenders for the Elegance Brands Knockouts tag team titles on TNA. So we will see when we get that match, but I'm assuming it's going to have a heavy amount of shenanigans in it, because there's no way that Heather and M by Elegance could ever beat Zarya and Sol Ruka, respectfully. But as far as best match of the night, I would go with that main event. I think it was just kind of given the most time, had the most kind of story behind it based on stuff from last week. The qualifying matches were all pretty solid. I really thought Ethan and Elio really did well as well. I thought Elio looked really impressive in his first debut match. So I would say, I would go with the main event as the best match, just because it had a little more juice to it than the rest. But there wasn't particularly a bad match throughout the night. So definitely a solid episode of NXT. But we will go to Dynamite from there. We have Tony Schiavone bringing out MJF. MJF brags about his successes, including he gives his Triple B title a special introduction. He says last week Bandito was the first one to find out that this is his year and no one is on the level of the devil. Brody King then comes out saying he wants to hurt MJF for what he did to Bandito. That won't happen, though, because everyone knows MJF is just a little bitch. What he wants is a match for the world title, and we should make it for tonight. MJF steps back, accusing Brody King of beating up a bunch of jobbers, thinking he deserves a world title match. He says King is all bark and no bite, before turning down his challenge for a world title match. Brody then ironically barks at him, and obviously MJF runs away. So we will probably eventually see that match, but not quite yet. We then look back at Hangman Page and Jet Speed winning the trios titles last week. Page and Jet Speed talk about coming up with the team name. I think Jet Set Rodeo is what Kevin Knight says, but they don't quite nail it down quite yet. But they all have singles matches tonight, and they're going to focus on that rather than committing to a team name. We get the first of those matches where Samoa Joe defeats Speedball via pinfall when Shibata trips up Speedball on the top rope, allowing Joe to hit the Muscle Buster for the win. We then get the Death Riders represented by John Moxley, Daniel Garcia, and Wheeler Yuta. They defeat the Don Callis family of Hinchacero, Rocky Romero, and Lance Archer when Mox hits a stomp on Rocky Romero. Um, After the match, Moxley comes up to Don Callis, who was obviously on commentary, and says Callis's boys know where to find him. Obviously, maybe implying that he wants one of his bigger guns to come after him and his Continental Championship. So we'll see who comes after Mox and his Continental Championship next. We then have Tekla with the rest of her Triangle of Madness girls. She wants to face Chris Statlander next week. And as for this week, Julia Hart will face Willow Nightingale for the TBS title on Collision. We then get FTR defeating Alec Price and Jordan Oliver when they hit the Shatter Machine on Alec Price to get the win. Again, Price and Oliver, brand new team from GCW, kind of been all around the independent scene, actually. But they're a new team. Obviously, they're probably going to be used as the team to make the higher up teams look good for a while. But if they play their role, obviously, they'll probably get a little bit higher up in the tag team rankings eventually. We then get Chris Statlander. She's down for Tekla's challenge next week and actually issues an open challenge for an eliminator match on Collision. Willow Nightingale agrees to face Julia Hart as well, which leaves old Harley Cameron to hit the "We are the babes and we have wrath, so we are the babes of wrath" to kind of end that little segment. We then get Kenny Omega defeating Josh Alexander via pinfall following a one-winged angel. After the match, Omega says he's feeling great. He now lives in Orlando and says he is going to continue to push forward towards the world title and MJF, obviously. We then get Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. They defeat the Timeless Love Bombs of Mina Shirakawa and Toni Storm when they hit the Doomsday Device on Shirakawa. After the match, Marina Shafir comes out and attacks Toni Storm and gets her to pass out in Mother's Milk. And then we get our main event where Swerve Strickland defeats Kevin Knight via pinfall following a JML driver. And then we see MJF in a kind of skybox, kind of luxury box kind of situation, and he looks pretty pissed at the end of the show watching Swerve be successful. So again, like I said with NXT, maybe a little bit of a higher level here on Dynamite, but not too many bad matches per se on this show. I'd say even the quote unquote worser ones were at least short. But I would go with Swerve and Kevin for the match of the night. If you had told me Kenny Omega and Josh Alexander would have been on the same card and I wouldn't pick that, I'd have been pretty surprised. But Swerve and Kevin really kind of blew it out of the water at the end of the show. So I would go with that one. But we will go from there to Impact. We have a Genesis recap, as that obviously was the last time we saw TNA. We open with Cedric Alexander from there defeating Moose when he reverses a powerbomb attempt into a Hurricane Rana type pin. We then get Mike Santana coming out for a promo. He sits down in a chair, plays a message from his late father saying Santana earned his way here. He deserves to be here, and he belongs here. The fans tell Santana he deserves it, obviously, and Santana talks about coming back here about 2 years ago, talking about coming back to TNA. Every time he tries to do something, he remembers his father's words. Santana talks about fighting back every time, even when he lost the world title just 30 days after he won it. Now he's back where he belongs, and he praises Frankie Kazarian after the wars that they've had over the past few months. He knows his back is against the wall. These people are and against these people, but that's the way he likes it because he's earned his way here and he deserves to be here and he belongs here. So he's ready for any challenge that comes his way. We then get Mustafa Ali with his Order 4 compatriots. Talks about the Hardys thinking they're the goats, but they're really sheep. And tonight he will be Jeff Hardy's shepherd. We then look at Zarya and Sol Ruka earning the Knockouts Tag Team title shot earlier this week. We then get one of the Knockouts Tag Team champions, M by Elegance, taking a defeat from Indy Hartwell. Indy Hartwell gets the win with a roll-up after M had actually reversed hurts doing it. But Indy is able to still score a roll-up win. After the match, the Elegance brand attack Indy, uh, but Ash comes in to kind of hold them off and kind of cool things down. Uh, they then kind of act like they're going to jump him again, and the Angel Warriors of Lei Ying Li and Zaya Brookside come out, and Ash actually jumps Lei Ying Li when she comes out, suggesting that maybe Ash by Elegance has been cleared from whatever injury or whatever thing she had that made her give up the Knockouts Championship in the first place. And then after we come back from commercial, Ash tells the brand that she is back and ready for some action. So basically, I don't know. They never really disclosed what the injury was. I never heard any rumors or anything like that about what it was. But seemingly whatever it was, she has gotten past. So Ash by Elegance is back officially based on these last couple of segments. We then get a Feast or Fired match. Obviously, if you don't know what that is, they basically have, a truss on each side of the ring. And they have, it's like four poles on each corner. Each corner has a briefcase in it. It used to be different, but now it has, one has a world title match, one has an international title match, one has an X Division title match, and then the last one has a pink slip. So no tag title match, which used to be kind of part of it. But we have all the singles titles are represented for the men's side. And one has a pink slip in it, which means that person would be fired. But we have the Feast or Fired match. The four people that get the briefcase are Eric Young, Steve Macklin, Trey Miguel, and Eddie Edwards. The other competitors in the match were Mance Warner, Rich Swann, the hometown man, Ryan Nemeth, AJ Francis, John Schuyler, Jason Hotch, and Brian Myers. So we will see. I don't know. I don't think they announced when we will hear who got what, but obviously I think we'll probably see next week who gets the title matches and who ends up getting fired. We then have Mike Santana. He runs into Nick Nemeth. Obviously Nick still has the Call Your Shot Gauntlet Cup. Warns him to watch his next step. Nemeth teases that he will call his shot here pretty soon. And brings up Santana's daughter, which is enough to trigger Santana, and they brawl for a little bit. We then come back from commercial break, and BDE and some of his friends are in the locker room playing video games. Nick Nemeth comes in and yells at them for just playing video games because this is real life, and they need to step up and not be so soft going forward. BDE doesn't like that Nick came up and got in their face, so he asked to have a match with him next week, and Nemeth says, "You know what? I'll take that match." We then get Elena Black. She comes out to cut a promo. She says she's the only one you need to talk about because she is the only one that matters. She says her first match is next week, and we are living in the era of Elena. We then get Ariana Grace. She seems real sullen. She apologizes to her father, Santino Marella, who doesn't seem like he believes her at first. She says Stax was wrong and begs for Santino's forgiveness. And of course, being a good father, he hugs her and obviously accepts her apology. Obviously, I think this is a ploy, but we will see where they go with this going forward. We then get Jeff Hardy. He actually defeats Mustafa Ali with a little help from Elijah. He distracts Ali, which allows Jeff to hit the twist of fate and follow it with a swanton for the men. We then get the Righteous. They pop up on the screen and they suggest that their either alliance or feud with the Hardys is not over. And then we get our main event segment where the System come out with JDC to announce who JDC's replacement will be for the team. He has handpicked his replacement, and it is newcomer Bear Bronson, who he had previously had facing Kazarian for the world title. Kind of a weird choice, but he did impress in that match. So I'll give it time to percolate and all that kind of stuff. Eddie Edwards, Moose, and Brian Myers all seem pretty happy with it, but then Eddie Edwards and Bronson jump Moose and JDC, attacking both of them. Cedric Alexander runs in to seemingly make the save, but he ends up hitting Moose with a chair as well. Eddie Edwards said they're replacing not one, but two members of the system because Moose is out. And I don't think it seems like they didn't inform that Alicia Edwards that this was happening, and she seems pretty distraught about the whole thing. And the seemingly new version of the system uh, continues to beat down JDC and Moose as we end the show. So the system now comprises of Eddie, Brian, Cedric Alexander, and Bear Bronson. So we'll see if they kind of have the same success going forward as they have in the past. But Moose being cut out seems like a good idea. He seems like a guy that they could push as a face on the topper end of the card. And these guys need to be heels. They don't need to be faces. They've been playing faces since this whole JDC retirement tour has been happening. So I think it's better that they go back to being heels, because I think that's where they're a little better off. But Ali and Hardy, pretty much the only match that got any bit of time. Really weren't that many matches. Feast or Fire, it's just kind of a chaos personified. Well, you'll hear about that on one of our newer Highway to the Impact Zone. So it's just kind of a chaotic match that you can't really accomplish too much with. But yeah, Ali and Hardy definitely with his best match. Kind of brought something out of Jeff Hardy that we haven't seen in a while too. Ali's just a next level talent, and probably deserves to be somewhere bigger than TNA in the grand scheme of things. But the fact that they treat him as a pretty big star is a good idea. Anytime they can do that. So, but we'll go from there to SmackDown. We open with Sami Zayn. He's obviously in his hometown of Montreal. We get a ton of chants. We get some Olays. We get the Sami Zayn, Sami Zayn. We get that one. We do get quite a bit of hype up for him from the crowd. Zayn greets him in French, says something in French. He eventually switches to English to talk about the momentum he feels right now. He says he's glad to be right here in his hometown of Montreal. And then Trick Williams comes out to interrupt him. He calls Sammy Mr. Almost, while Trick Williams knows how to get it done. Trick brings up Sami Zayn losing to Roman Reigns right here in his hometown previously, which Sammy does admit did happen. He says Trick looks like $1 million, but they aren't near the same level. Trick is brand new, but he's just not good as Sami Zayn. Trick then says no, who says that they can take care of this later. He's focused tonight on Damian Priest. Damian Priest then comes out and says that Trick talks a lot, but he sounds afraid. If Trick doesn't want to talk here, he can do something about it. So Trick hits Sami Zayn with the microphone. Trick then goes after Damian Priest, but Zayn is back up to go after Trick, with Priest eventually breaking it up. He eventually shoves Zayn and Priest into each other, so Trick can kind of escape and go back to the back while Priest and Zayn kind of stare at each other. And then go to Randy Orton, who's the other person in the Fatal 4-Way, didn't seem to want to get involved. Randy Orton is asked what he thought about what just happened. He goes on a rant about how he's going to take each one of them out. He's going to beat all three of them to get to go to Saudi Arabia for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble, and become a 15-time champion. We then go to earlier today. Carmelo Hayes told Ilya Dragunov that he can have the U.S. title shot tonight, which Ilya says that he is in, despite him being beaten up from previous weeks. Miz then comes in and says he doesn't like the whole everyone is friends era that seems to be going on, and calls, he quotes Home Alone randomly and says that Carmelo is what the French call les incompetents. And Carmelo Hayes says he learned a lot more from Ilya than he ever learned from the Miz, so gets a shot in there at the Miz. We then get that match. Carmelo Hayes retains via pinfall when the Miz comes out, shoves Ilya off the top rope, allowing Carmelo to hit the first 48 for the win. After the match, Carmelo eventually figures out that Miz was the reason that he probably won the match, and obviously gets in his face and kind of yells at him. We then get a recap of Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu as they are going to go one-on-one at Saturday night's main event. Obviously shows that that Fatu cost Cody Rhodes the WWE Championship. We go to earlier today once again. Michael Cole sat down with the two of them, sat down with Cody on his bus, or he sat down with Cody on his bus with Cody talking about the Royal Rumble. Cole shifts him over to Jacob Fatu, who comes in with Nick Aldis and some security. Fatu says he was locked in on Drew McIntyre, but Rhodes attacked him. Rhodes says that Fatu didn't look like he was thinking, which is why he was put in prison in the first place. That gets Fatu on his feet to go off, and how he came from nothing and is now a different man. If Rhodes thinks Fatu is just another Samoan, he just like every other Samoan he's ever faced before, he has no idea what he's doing, because Fatu, unlike them, is in control of his madness. We then go to Chelsea Green. She's with Alba Fire. She offers Jordan Grace she calls her a star and offers her a spot as the newest Slagent in her Secret Service. And Jordan Grace seems to actually be into the idea and says she can start tonight. Obviously, it seems to be somewhat of a ploy, but Jordan does seem to agree kind of half-heartedly in this whole thing. So we'll see if Jordan becomes the next Slagent in the Secret Service. So we then get the announcement that Roman Reigns is back and he's going to be in the Royal Rumble. We then get Jade Cargill defeating Chelsea Green via pinfall following Jaded. After the match, Jordan Grace gets in the ring and issues a challenge to Jade Cargill. But Cargill doesn't answer and ends up walking off instead. We then get Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. They continue to have a bit of tension between them. They talk about being in the Royal Rumble. Charlotte talks about winning last year, but she also hypes up that it was Alexa's return as well. They then kind of get back together, say that they're going to focus on being a team, and talk about, and then Charlotte kind of puts in another shot of the fact that she won the Royal Rumble last year. They're kind of going to focus on being a team going forward, rather than focusing on themselves solo. Speaking of Solo, we go to Solo Sikoa. He is with his MFTs and the lantern that they've stolen from the Wyatt Six, and they are ready to face the Wyatt Six and take the tag team titles tonight, which is exactly what they do when they defeat the Wyatt Six, when Solo Sikoa hits Dexter Lumis with the lantern, and Tama hits Cutthroat on Lumis as well, and they become the new WWE Tag Team Champions. I don't really know if this is going to be like Freebird rule or if it's going to be Tama and Solo all the time, but in this match, Solo and Tama became the tag team champions. So we'll see if they kind of do, like I said, the Freebird rule or not going forward. We then get to R-Truth. He wants to be in the Royal Rumble match, and he will give Nick Aldis his balls to do so. AJ Styles comes in and is rather confused about what's going on, but Aldis gets to the point. He's not sure about AJ putting his career on the line against Gunther. Aldis respects his decision, but he has someone here that would like to speak to him as well. Shinsuke Nakamura comes in and says he wants Style to prove he still has it. Says Saturday night's main event, they need to go one-on-one one last time, if it is indeed one last time. And AJ says he respects Shinsuke, agrees to the match, and they shake hands. We then get Nathan Frazier defeating Johnny Gargano when Axiom puts the other Axiom mask on Candice LeRae. She ends up getting blinded. She ends up hitting Johnny with a right hand, allowing Nathan Frazier to score a roll-up surprise victory. After the match, LeRae then steals the mask back again and runs off, making Axiom look like an absolute idiot. We then get Nia Jax and Lash Legend. They are ready to get the women's tag team title shot later tonight. And then they are ready to have the titles and go all the way to WrestleMania with them. We then get Drew McIntyre coming out to cut a promo. He gets right to the point by mocking the Montreal Canadiens, but can't wait to see Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu destroy each other tomorrow night. If Rhodes wants the title back, he has to go through the Royal Rumble to make it happen. Before then, though, there's the Fatal 4-Way tomorrow night as well, to see who will face him at the Royal Rumble. He talks about each person. He calls Trick Williams the Go Get 'Em Kid. Damian Priest, he talks about how he already wasted a year of his career on him. Randy Orton, who has already lost the WWE Championship previously to Drew McIntyre, and he talks about how Randy can't seem to win when it counts. And then there's Sami Zayn. We get another Olay chant, obviously. McIntyre says Sami Zayn's son is going to be disappointed that Sami Zayn is his father. It doesn't matter who wins because he will retain his championship, and he smirks before the camera cuts off and goes back to the back, where Trick Williams runs into Ray Phoenix, says Phoenix can thank him for the fame that he gave him last week. Talks about, he says, let's talk about it. Phoenix says Trick is the one that will need to remember him. So obviously teasing that maybe they will face off again in the future. We then recap Kit Wilson's crusade against toxic masculinity, which doesn't seem to be going too well for him. Matt Cardona interrupts Kit, who rants about men like you, but Cardona doesn't understand what any of this he is talking about. He challenges him to a match, which Kit Wilson says is choosing violence. So I don't think he really accepts, but he's just on his whole rant. Kit's actually pretty good at these segments. He's a pretty funny character overall, but obviously he's just going to continue to get beaten down by anybody and everybody he comes in contact with. So we then get our triple threat women's #1 contender tag team title opportunity. Julia and Kiana James defeat Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, as well as Lash Legend and Nia Jax, when Lash hits the Lash extension on Bliss, but Charlotte is able to spear Lash away, and Kiana sneaks in and steals the pin. This makes Julia and Kiana James the #1 contenders for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. I don't know that they really say when that match will take place, but obviously it'll probably happen in the coming weeks. Sami Zayn then comes up to Damian Priest in the back, says he'll be watching the main event in case Trick Williams cheats. Priest cuts him off and says, stay out of it. Sami Zayn says, or what, in response to that. Priest seems pretty pissed off and says, just stay out of my match, and walks off. Zayn goes over and sees that Drew McIntyre's across the room and slaps the absolute taste out of his mouth. We then get AJ Styles. He runs into Cody Rhodes, who says Styles will be at his best when his back is against the fire. Cody wishes him good luck, and Styles leaves with Rhodes seeing an autographed picture from Drew McIntyre on his bus door. The photo is signed "The Real American Dream" as a jab, obviously, to his father. We then go to Julia and Kiana James. They are ready to win the women's tag team titles, and Julia wants them to go on and become triple champions. Obviously, it will be her second belt, and obviously Kiana will then have the belt as well. And then we get our main event where Trick Williams defeats Damian Priest, but it's via DQ when Sami Zayn comes out and gets involved. After the match, Trick is knocked into the corner, so Priest and Zayn can both brawl with each other, as obviously Priest didn't want Zayn's help. Trick knocks them outside, and Randy comes out and hits the RKO. Zayn then gets up and takes an RKO of his own, and Randy Orton stands tall to end the show. Again, SmackDown, as long as there's a U.S. Open challenge, it will most likely be the #1 match for that show, and this week is no different. So Carmelo and Dragunov will be my match of the night for SmackDown. We then go to Collision. We get Hangman Page opening the show, defeating Katsuyori Shibata via pinfall with the Buckshot Lariat. We go to earlier in the week. Don Callis and Ricochet were on a golf course and seemed to be on the same page. So the Demand and the Don Callis family seem to be in cahoots continually with each other. And we actually see Mark Davis and Jake Doyle beating up people on the golf course in the background, which was a pretty comedic segment. We think Chris Statlander defeating Isla Dawn, who was actually brought out by the Grizzled Young Veterans. But she defeats her via pinfall with the Saturday Night Fever. After the match, Tekla pops up on the screen wearing a Chris Statlander shirt, which she takes off, spits on, and continues to insult Statlander, and says she will beat her this coming Wednesday for her championship. We then go to Jack Perry. He's holding a knife, says he wants Ricochet's national championship. Ricochet took Perry's friend from him, so now he's going to take his title from him, and says even if he takes the title, it won't be enough because obviously he misses his buddy Luchasaurus. We then get the Don Callis family of Takeshita and Fletcher defeating Billy and Austin Gunn. This was supposed to be Ace Austin and Austin Gunn, but Ace I think he had an injury or something like that, or had some issues traveling, like many have this week due to storms and apparent rampant visa issues through the wrestling business. But supposed to be Ace Austin and Austin Gunn, but it ends up being Billy and Austin Gunn. But Takeshita wins the match, hitting the Raging Fire on Austin Gunn, that is. And then after the match, Takeshita and Fletcher seem to be on the same page. They're happy with each other, but then Kazuchika Okada comes out. Fletcher seemingly has to hold Takeshita back from attacking Okada, which obviously can't be a good sign for the Don Callis family. We then get Ricochet. He says Jack Perry will get his national title shot in Las Vegas, which is the only place with enough luck for Jack to defeat him or have any chance against a king, which obviously Ricochet calls himself King Ricochet. So there is that. We then get the Grizzled Young Veterans. They're still mad at Eddie Kingston and Ortiz, and tease that maybe we will have a no holds barred typed weapons match going forward with the two of them. We then get Mark Davis and Jake Doyle. They defeat Jordan Oliver and Alec Price when they each hit a pile driver and a kind of boss man slam, respectively, on each guy, and they both get a double pin. After the match, Don Callis talks about how he has a vision of Doyle and Davis destroying FTR and him obviously having the tag team titles in his camp. We then get kind of a rebuttal from FTR and Stokely Hathaway. They pop them on the screen, and Hathaway says Callis often lies a lot. So FTR will be keeping the championships, and they will be going nowhere. We then get Darby Allin randomly hanging out with Bam Margera. They do some skateboarding, talk a little bit. So a random Bam Margera pop up here. I was not expecting that going into the show. I'm not going to lie. We then get Willow Nightingale retaining her TBS championship, defeating Julia Hart via pinfall, following the Babe with the powerbomb. We then get the Rascals. They are eating snacks and talking about how nice of a couch that they have in their locker room. They are ready to fight Crew. They play a little game of paper, rock, scissors and decide that Myron Reed is the odd man out. So it'll be Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz taking on Leo Rush and Action Andretti whenever that match occurs. Obviously, it seems like it'll probably be Wednesday, but we'll see. We then get Andrade El Idolo defeating Magnus via pinfall following the DM. Andrade started the match wearing pants in this and ends up in tights. So I think it got a pretty big crowd from or a pretty big pop from the females in the crowd when that happened. So big things happening in that match. We come back from commercial break, and Andrade says he wants the world title, and Swerve is his next target, and he's going to come for him on Dynamite. And then we get our main event, which was for the CMLL world title. Claudio Castagnoli retains, defeating Roderick Strong via pinfall following the neutralizer. And that was, in fact, match of the night for me. Claudio versus Roddy. They beat the dog mess out of each other. Did some pretty gross and nasty backbreakers and stuff like that. So definitely check that one out if you want a match to watch from Collision. And then we will finish things off with Saturday night's main event. We have Stephanie McMahon welcome us to the show. We would usually have Joe Tessitore, but obviously, like I said, with all the storms that have happened over the weekend and just the week in general, all the snow and ice and stuff that's been happening throughout the week, he is stuck in the airport in Detroit, so he could not join us tonight. And then Stephanie asked if we are ready in both English and French, which, of course, we're still in Montreal. We then get an opening video, hypes up the importance of Saturday night's main event, talks about all the important events that have happened over the years, and obviously looks at the important parts that we could see tonight and all that kind of stuff. So, and then we get Jacob Fatu cutting a promo. He promises to destroy Cody Rhodes, says he has gone from EBT to WWE. So he's gone from the lowest point to obviously what he considers the highest point of his career. So, and then we get that match. It never really happens. It never really starts. The bell never rings. Cody and Jacob Fatu battle around the arena for about 10 minutes. It was a really long arena brawl. But it was awesome the whole way through. They battle around the whole arena, use all kinds of weapons, and throw each other into all kind of stands and stuff like that. Um, but they brawl around for about 10 minutes. Drew McIntyre eventually comes out, puts Fatu through a table, and then power bombs Cody through a table as well. So Drew McIntyre obviously has gripes with both men being champion. He ends up on top, and uh, really, really an awesome segment. Exactly what it needed to be. They didn't need to have a match, didn't need to have a victor or anything like that. This was the perfect way to book this, and it ended up being really awesome. We come back from commercial break, though, and McIntyre calls that a statement, and that is what everyone who messes with him will get if you come for him in his championship. We then get Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. They defeat Liv and Roxanne to retain their women's tag team titles when Rhea actually gets a blind tag on from Io as Liv hits Oblivion on Io, but Rhea then comes in and hits Riptide on Liv and gets the victory. We then get video of Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles throughout the years, all their previous matches, just kind of going through the rivalry that they've had over the years before they get into their match. AJ Styles is able to defeat Shinsuke Nakamura via pinfall, following a phenomenal forearm and Styles clash. Definitely their best match in WWE with a bullet. Was awesome. Really good stuff. We go back to Stephanie McMahon one last time. She hypes up how good the show's been so far and leads us into the main event, which is our fatal four-way to see who will face Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble. And Sami Zayn defeats Damian Priest, Randy Orton, and Trick Williams when he hits the haluva kick on Damian Priest. After the match, Drew McIntyre comes out once again, tries to attack Sami, but he actually gets sent outside the ring to end the show, so Sami actually stands tall to end things. All three matches were awesome. 4 if you count the brawl, I guess. But the women's tag team match was awesome. AJ versus Shin, like I said, was their best match since they've been in WWE together. And the main event was awesome as well. But I would give the edge to Knock versus Styles just because it was kind of a nostalgic look at their entire rivalry to this point. I think there were a few callbacks to their New Japan matches. I think I saw some people mention that it kind of started away as kind of a callback to one of their New Japan matches. So really good stuff. I would go with Knock and Styles for best match. I thought they really brought their best. If AJ's going to go out at the Royal Rumble, he's really burning on all cylinders in this last few months. So we'll see how him and Gunther goes next weekend as the Royal Rumble is next weekend. So this next week will probably be a lot of hype for that. Not too much match-wise outside of probably a few matches here and there. But thank you for joining me. As per usual, like I said, Royal Rumble week is next week, one of the best weeks of the year. So looking forward to that, and we will see you then.